Parak Vav Mishnah base. So now the story continues, and the story so far is that he's now finished the offering up of the par of the Kohen Gadol. He's done the soil Hashem. He's offered up the dam of the soil Hashem, and now he's got to turn to the soil HaMishtalech, the animal which is eventually going to be thrown off the cliff. So says the Mishnah as follows: Boloi etzel soil HaMishtalech. He then goes to the soil HaMishtalech, the animal which is designated to be sent away Lazazel. V'somech shtei yodov olov u'mizvadeh. He take Aaron HaKohen, Kohen Gadol, would take his two hands, place them between the horns of the animal, and press down b'chol kocho and do smicha. And misvadeh, and he would confess, as the Mishnah continues to describe. And this is an exception to the normal rule, because the normal rule is that you only do smicha on a carbon yochid, on a personal carbon. You don't do it on a carbon so'eh, on a carbon tzibur. But yet this is a carbon tzibur, so this is the exception to the rule, where you do smicha on a carbon tzibur. It's very unusual. And previously, when the Kohen Gadol had done smicha on the par, on his own par, that wasn't an exception, because that was his own personal animal, which is misvada on it for himself and his family, etc. So that's not an exception, but this is an exception to the rule. Okay, v'kach haya omer, and this is what he would say: Ona Hashem, avu pashu chatu lefonecha. The Klal Yisrael have done averas. Avu is lashon of avonos, have done deliberate sins. Pashu, they've rebelled against you. Chatu, they've done shogegim. Lefonecha amcha beis Yisrael. And this, as we mentioned previously, Dafka goes according to Reb Meir. However, the Chachamim would argue, and they would say a different nusach. They would say Avu Pashu Chatu. Sorry, that's Reb Meir. They would say Chatu Avu Pashu. They would put the Chatoim first, and we've explained this machlokus twice now. The Tana always goes according to Reb Meir, who uses this nusach, but our nusach, according to the Tana Kama, would be different. Okay, Ona Bashem. I beg of you, Hashem, kapeno la'avonus, please forgive the avonus, the deliberate sins of lapshoim, and the rebellious sins of lachatoim, and the shogeg, and the accidental sins. She'ov v'she'poshu v'she'chotu lefonecha, that the people have done against you, b'nei amcha beis Yisrael, kakosuv b'toiras Moshe abdecha leimor, as it's written in the Torah of Moshe Rabbeinu, your servant, Leimer ki vayom hazeh yechap aleichem letah eschem mikol chatoseichem lifnei Hashem titor. He says the pasuk, and when he says the Shem, the lifnei Hashem over there, he also says the Shem HaMefurish. So it comes out that in every vidui, in this vidui, he says the Shem HaMefurish 3 times. 2 at the beginning, when he says Ono Hashem, he says the Shem HaMefurish. Ono Bashem, later on, he says the Shem HaMefurish. And then lastly, when he quotes the pasuk, Mikol Chatoseichem Lifnei Hashem Titoru, he also says the Shem HaMefurish. Now the Rambam, but it's also Tosefta, says that the Kohen Gadol would say the Shem HaMefurish 10 times on Yom Kippur. Why? Because he says 3 different viduis. And he says the Shem Hashem 3 times in each of those viduis, that's 9. Plus, when he picks out from the Gorel the Soy Lashem, he says Lashem Chatos. And again, he says the Shem Mefurish over there. So he says the Shem Mefurish 10 times over Yom Kippur. Fine. Continues the Mishnah. And the Kohanim and the people who are standing in the Azara, when they would hear the Shem HaMefurish, the ineffable name of Hashem, would come out of the mouth of the Kohen Gadol, they would prostrate themselves, they would kneel and then prostrate themselves fully, as we described previously. Interestingly, that in the early days, the Kohen Gadol would just say it normally. But later on, the Gemara says, and the Farshim explain, that when due to Yeridas Hadoros, we were worried that the Shem HaMefurish shouldn't get out, it shouldn't become too well known. And therefore, the Gemara says that he would say it b'ne'imus, which means pleasantly, but it means that he would either slip it in somehow by singing, and whilst he was singing he would say it, so it wouldn't be so clear exactly what the Shem HaMefurish is, and therefore there's less chance of it being falling into misuse, as it were. That is the end of Mishnah base.